It's Friday, December 13th, 2019. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we are covering today. The name Project Scarlet is no more. Microsoft made a surprise announcement at the Game Awards yesterday, showcasing their upcoming new gaming console, the Xbox Series X. And we'll head to New York, where Corey Gaskin is going to be unboxing a very special Star Wars-themed Samsung Galaxy Note 10, and then maybe sending it to me as a Christmas present. So we'll hope that happens. And then Sarah Hill, the CEO and chief storyteller of Helium, will be on to discuss their VR and AR platform that is designed as a biometrically controlled and drug-free solution for stress. And we'll also have Carla Freedy, the CEO and co-founder of InvoicePay, who will join us in studio to talk about how their company is utilizing cloud-based technologies and processing to change the way businesses handle their electronic invoicing systems. All that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. It is Friday, and we have an action-packed day of technology to talk to you about. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. This is our daily show here from Digital Trends, bringing you the trending tech topics of the day, news, interviews, headlines, discussions, and more, all while broadcasting live across a number of different platforms. We're on Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Dailymotion, Apple News, 2 different mobile apps, a smart television app, and at digitaltrends.com/live. So wherever you're joining the conversation, let us know what you think, what your topics are, what you want to discuss today. So we've got a lot to cover. Let's get it going, though, right now. I'm Greg Nibbler here with Nicole Rainey. Hello, Nicole.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is Friday, and there is so much tech to talk about that we're excited, and that's why we have to get through this.
I'm really excited for some of these headlines.
Let's get to the big one right here, then. So this is coming from the Game Awards last night, and it has to do with the new announcement of the new Xbox. So Project Scarlet has been the name that's been kind of used for the last couple of years, really, about the mystery of Xbox's new console, but they unveiled it yesterday at the awards show. So this is what we're looking at right here. So it's the Xbox Series X is the name they went with. Not so sure about that name, but that is what they went with.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
Especially because Project Scarlet sounds so cool, and
Right.
the Xbox Series X sounds redundant.
Yes.
But I'm excited for the way it looks. It looks more of like a traditional PC or something like that.
It does.
It's a departure from some of the standard console that we know today, right?
Right, where you have all the architecture that goes into it as far as the design, and the appearance is always just a big thing and make it look futuristic, which is what some of the renderings of the PS5 kind of look like. But this, yeah, it's a big box. It's a big PC-looking box, but that's what Xbox is going for. So there's a couple of interviews that have come out talking to them about this, where they what they're focusing on is the gameplay, and because this is bigger and it's bulkier, they have all that room inside, and that's the key thing they're looking at is what they can pack in this thing as far as different the GPUs and different graphics processors in order to make it the most powerful gaming system that they can possibly make. And that, looking at it from that angle, if you're looking at it from how it will play, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this, and I think that it's just going to hopefully bump up the timeline, or we can get a little bit more details about the PlayStation 5 too.
Right.
Because now that we know what the Xbox is calling its thing and what it looks like, I hope PlayStation, I hope Sony announces something too soon.
Yeah, you would think they've got to kind of combat it and come back with it, because we know that the PS5 is coming out at the end of 2020, and now we know that this is coming out at the end of 2020. So next year is going to be a big year for gaming. So you can check out more about the Xbox Series X at digitaltrends.com. And continuing on, talking about the Game Awards themselves, let's talk about those. There's a lot that happened at this event. It was a few hours long, and we've got all the coverage at Digital Trends, but just a couple of the highlights that we wanted to touch on. The Game of the Year was announced, and it was a game that I have not played myself, but Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. So that won Game of the Year, and this year was kind of an up in the air. You didn't really know who was going to win. It wasn't like last year we had God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, clearly, right at the top there. This was a little bit different. So you had, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice won the Game of the Year itself, which is, good for them. That's a very big
Yeah,
win.
and I think a lot of people were maybe expecting Control or Death Stranding to win.
Yeah.
Just because there's been a lot of buzz around that. But I'm very excited for this. But I still haven't played it either, so I feel
Right.
like this is gonna motivate me a little bit more.
Yeah,
to finally jump on that train.
Yeah, the Death Stranding one, that I did kind of think that maybe they would get in there just because of the
Yeah.
popularity of it, or at least as far as the hype that went around it. But yeah, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice wins the Game of the Year. They also had, speaking of PS5, PlayStation 5, we do know what the first game is going to be on the PlayStation 5, and it is Godfall. So we got a trailer for that came out as well, and this is going to be the first one. I imagine there'll be some other ones that come out along with it, but at least this is the first one announced specifically for the PlayStation 5. So Godfall right there. It looks like it's kind of sticking with some of the theme that they've had, going previously when it comes to counterplay games. A first-person shooter and kind of a Western space theme that they've got going on there. I mean, there's a lot that you can unravel with this, but that is what it's going to look like.
I'm excited.
Yeah. I will definitely play that one when it comes out. So that is Godfall. So again, walking through some of the announcements from the Game Awards, and there's a ton of announcements that we have at digitaltrends.com. The last one I wanted to say was this, and you already saw them on the screen for a minute there with Vin Diesel, and Michelle Rodriguez talking about the new game for the Fast and the Furious. So there is going to be a video game version of it, which I can only imagine is going to be huge.
This kind of reminds me of Driver.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody remembers that game from back in the day. The concept seems like pretty similar, but good for the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah, I mean,
they've been able to squeeze out yet another installment.
I'm not so sure about the video game version of Vin Diesel, but
Yeah.
doesn't quite look right. But
that tank looks cool.
Yes, that looks cool. And I imagine the game's going to be fun. So they're both going to be in it, Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez, and then also Tyrese Gibson's going to be lending his voice. I would imagine there's going to be some cameos that'll show up as well. Jason Statham's going to show up at some point. But that's what we're looking at with that. So kind of a cool adaptation, I would say, of that franchise, but that's something else from the Game Awards. So you can read all about that at digitaltrends.com. Continuing on with our news coverage. So we do have a lot to get to. There's something else that was announced today, and I wanted to bring this up just because it's a further sign of the ever-expanding presence of 5G. And it's AT&T announcing that they're expanding their sub-6. So that's the 5G that has a much wider reach than some of those really the fast-end high G. So they announced that they're going to be expanding that to 10 more cities. And right now, so Birmingham, Alabama, Indianapolis, LA, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, and several other cities in the Bay Area really getting it too. So that's a big announcement when we look at what's coming up next year. We think about all these different 5G phones that are coming out. All of these networks are trying to expand their coverage of 5G, and this is definitely another sign of that.
Yeah, so you have to have a certain plan on AT&T to be able to tap into that network, but apparently that extra service is, there's no extra charge if you're already signed up for that specific plan.
Yeah, and that's part of the other interesting thing to me too, is how all of this is going to shake out as far as the monetization of it and what the pricing structures are going to be, because you have what they're calling, you have 5GE, which, just to be clear for everybody, that's not actually 5G. That AT&T came out with that earlier this year. That's not 5G. This, though, is actually 5G. So the sub 6 is the one where it'll spread out a lot further. The 5G plus millimeter wave, that's the really fast stuff. So it's kind of a high tier, low tier when it comes to 5G. Both are very fast, but it's a little bit different depending on where you're at. So they've got some of these higher tier nodes that they're saying are going to be used in like sports stadiums or tourist spots, and you see a lot of NFL stadiums being equipped with these, and NBA stadiums, and all kinds of different places like that, like sporting centers, where you're going to have this really fast 5G.
I'm excited, but I still feel like it's going to be a while until maybe just us regular folks feel the impacts of 5G.
Right.
It's still cool because originally they announced that it was just going to be in 5 cities. It's actually in 10 new cities now. But with the cost of the phone, and like you were saying before, we're not really sure what the cost of maybe some plans are going to be.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to be a while until we're all using it, but still going to be exciting.
I think some major cities are going to have it a lot sooner next year, and the more that we see the competition come up between these different providers, that's where we're going to see some more of this. But that's just another sign, though. It is coming, so that's definitely a good sign. So that's AT&T with their 5G network. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. We're plugging right along here as we get through the news. We do have a lot to talk about today. This is an interesting take that Lyft has that I wanted to bring up, and it's an announcement they had about what they want to do to expand coverage of vehicles, coverage of mobility, and it's to provide rental cars now. So not just renting a car, a ride, you are actually renting a car. And so this is something Lyft is launching in LA and the Bay Area right now. But it's rental cars. They're going up against, Hertz and Enterprise and those kinds of organizations. So the way this plan works is it goes right through your app. that you already have, and if you are within 20 miles of where the rental agency is, they will give you a free ride there and a free ride home. And you rent the car. It has no extra costs so it's unlimited mileage, is what they're saying. You won't be charged extra for gas. So if you return it, if you ever rent a car and you return it, it's like if you're half full, they'll charge you like $10 a gallon or something. Mm-hmm. They said they'll just charge whatever the market price is.
It seems like it's going to be a really competitive pricing plan, but I'm curious to see how many people jump on board since it's only going to be available in LA and San Francisco.
Right.
Right now, I feel like that's kind of limiting as far as maybe planning a vacation or something.
Yeah.
I'm a little curious to see like what people are using these rental cars for, because the idea, right, is like Lyft wants everybody to use its services to get around. And so right now, maybe you don't have like a car in a bigger city or whatever, so you can rely on Lyft. So I'm curious if more people are going to be using it for little jaunts, or like maybe they buy a couch or something like that so they can rent an SUV to put the couch in or something.
Yeah.
Or if people are going to use it to actually like, get out of town and go on vacation.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking about, for like business trips.
Yeah.
And if say you're going to a couple of different offices or locations that are outside of a city, then this would be a quick and easy way to do that. Things that you already rent cars for, but I guess the pricing structure would be one of the key things, and the pickup and drop off is also very nice. I know some other car services do offer that, but this would be, I think, really it's getting through that ecosystem where it's all in one app, which is the same thing Uber's trying to do.
Super convenient. But the only bad thing, I guess, right now is in addition to the limited cities, you only have a sedan and an SUV, one sedan option and one SUV option in both cities. So you don't really have like a truck, or you can't necessarily rent a minivan or something like that.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes, but I do want to know, what people think. Is that something that you would be interested in using? And I think that convenience factor would be pretty big. They also said that, just a couple other things on it. Again, the free rides, as long as the trip is under $20, that part I think is also going to be key to it. But there's a lot there to unravel, and if you want to follow up on that, just go to digitaltrends.com. There is one other thing I wanted to get to here before we need to go to a break. So we are powering through a lot of news for you right here at the top of the show, but this is coming from Hulu, and it has to do with, 75% of us, which are binge watchers. I think a lot of us.
Just 75%?
75% is according to what Hulu's study said, is that 75% of U.S. consumers of streaming television binge watch. And I'm going to guess the other 25% just aren't telling the truth. So this is the thing is for Hulu, with their ad-supported platform, is how do you work out the ads on there? And if anybody's used Hulu, some of their adding programs before used to get really annoying when you'd see the same ad like 4 times during one show.
And I think this is really smart. So basically, if it knows that you're sitting down and consuming more than one episode, it's going to respect that, and it's going to serve ads based on that. So maybe, I think Hulu said it defines a binge watch as watching at least 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So I guess around the 3rd episode, you're going to get something that sort of speaks to your current moment.
Right.
One of the examples that they have right now is this Cheez-Its ad, which I love, because it's literally just saying like, oh, this is your time to get up and go to get snacks or whatever.
Right.
Like in the middle of your binge. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so after that, like you said, 3 episodes, so it defines it as that. So then they're saying that the ads would be specified to that, or they would do maybe you've watched 3 episodes. This next one is ad-free, courtesy of
Maker's Mark, or whatever.
Yeah, or whoever, because you're binge watching those things. So it's catering to that specific audience, and that's definitely an interesting way that they're working on it, and combating with Netflix, who has no ads right now, but there has been talk that that could change down the line, because with all these streaming services, they're all going to have to make money somehow. So we'll have to see how it all shakes out. But that's what Hulu is doing, to at least make the ads a little bit more tolerable for all the binge watchers out there. All right, we have a lot to cover here on Digital Trends, and I want to say thank you to everybody who's joining us live. And Nicole, thank you.
Thank you.
A lot to talk about. We have a lot of great interviews coming up, and up next, we're going to play something from the Qualcomm Snapdragon Summit, which was down in Maui last week, where I was able to talk to Hugo Swart of Qualcomm, and then also Anand from a company called Spatial. And Spatial makes a very interesting AR VR platform to where you can interact no matter what platform you're on. You can meet in this AR VR space. It's really interesting. The interview is going to explain it a lot more, and you're going to get to see a VR me, which is kind of creepy, but that's coming up nonetheless. So stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Greg Nibbler with Digital Trends here at the Qualcomm Snapdragon Summit out in Maui, and we're talking about all things 5G and XR. Right now, we're actually going to talk about the new XR2 platform, which was announced, and the perfect person to do that, we have Hugo Swart, who's the VP and head of XR for Qualcomm. Hugo, can you give everybody just an idea of what this platform is and what XR means?
Yeah. So we have invested in XR, which is virtual reality, augmented reality under one umbrella term, over the past decade. And we have many designs, many products already with Snapdragon, be it in virtual reality virtual reality headsets or augmented reality glasses. And now we created a dedicated chip called the XR2. That's what we unveiled today, which brings a lot of new features that you wouldn't see on a smartphone chip to take virtual reality, augmented reality to the next level.
Which, I mean, that entire platform is just so exciting to see where this can go. And talking about the excitement of VR and XR and AR and combining that with 5G, something we're asking everybody as well is, what are you most excited about when it comes to 5G technology?
Right. So actually we see three trends actually converging. The first is 5G getting to, finally markets and devices. The second is artificial intelligence, and now spatial computer XR. So these three, we believe, is going to change. These three together is going to change the world, both on the consumer side, how we do gaming, how we do entertainment, and also on the enterprise side, how you do training, how you do logistics with augmented reality and virtual reality devices. So XR, it requires immersion, requires a lot of data to be sent in both from the device to the network and from the network to the device. And we need it at very low latency. So that's what 5G brings. 5G now enables us to have processing being done on the device, but also be done on the cloud and providing an amazing user experience for consumers and enterprises.
Well, and one of the demos that you had kind of showcased all of that, where it was just kind of this seamless interactions that were going on because of the power of all of these different things. And I know coming up next, we're going to actually be talking to somebody about that with spatial technologies. Could you talk a little bit about what we're going to be seeing here and who we're going to be talking to next?
Actually, my favorite example of a use case that combines 5G, AI, and XR is something we're calling holographic telepresence, which is the next generation of communication. Remember, first generation of wireless, second generation of wireless, voice. Third generation, fourth generation, video calling. Comes fifth generation, 5G, with XR, we bring holographic telepresence. And we had the great pleasure to have on stage with us our partners from Spatial that show a great scenario, a great use case with their customer Purina, where you can collaborate together on a virtual environment. So you can imagine people in different offices, but being on a same virtual room through the spatial technology using an XR2 platform.
Yeah, so Spatial is a holographic computing platform. We imagine if Zoom and Slack were reinvented for the age of holographic computing. So instead of having, we've all been on that kind of video conference call, 10 different locations, 10 different videos, grid of video windows, and half the people are checked out, checking their email. But with the power of spatial computing and holographic, you put on eyewear, they feel like they're right in the same room with you. You get from a 2D photo, we can actually generate a 3D avatar, lifelike expressions, animations, and as they move around the room, they actually have spatial audio. And now with XR2, we can have even more lifelike expressions because we have a camera that tracks the lips and mouth. The possibilities of that you can now do, someone's reacting and wincing and stuff like that. Instead of, in a typical video conference setup, there's one camera at the back of the room. It might be facing the back of somebody. And so the power of that is what we're building. The other beautiful piece is that we're completely platform agnostic. So you can join from AR, like a HoloLens or Magic Leap. You can join from VR, like a Quest or an XR2 based platform, or you can join from a phone. Which is also awesome because you could be in an Uber running late to a meeting and you can just see that either via ARKit, ARCore, which is what we used on the stage, or just in a little dollhouse view because you're in the back of an airplane kind of thing.
The cross-platform aspect is really incredible. Anybody can pick it up. I mean, you mentioned using a phone, using HoloLens or whatever the setup is that they have. That's great. And talking about enterprise and being able to engage with other people, what are some other aspects and other use cases you can think of for this kind of technology?
Yeah, I mean, we really are trying to be as broad as possible. We want this to be for 1 billion users. So, we've kind of view our biggest competition, not as necessarily video conferencing, but Delta. We want to replace business travel so that you don't have to get on a plane, right? I mean, video conferencing is so great, but it's almost like we're traveling more and more because it's so good, because now we're collaborating with all these people from around the world. The beautiful thing is that we've had over 200 of the Fortune 1000 reach out to Spatial to use it, and across every category. So oil and gas, to look at 3D seismic data, financial, also 3D financial data, consumer product goods. We're looking at like you saw on stage, like Purina, looking at packaging design or various forms of collaboration. Because we support all the ways you collaborate today. So like PowerPoint, spreadsheets. You can fill a room with that stuff now instead of like just one screen. You can have these project rooms that fill the room with content and that connect to Slack and Teams, so you can use the way you work already today.
This is so exciting. You're taking on a lot of people there with this technology. That's incredible, and that's what we love talking about too, is just innovation in this space and seeing what these chips like the XR2 can do and how powerful all of that. Talking about 5G technology, for you personally, I mean, you're clearly heavily involved in this aspect of it, but on a personal level, what are you most excited about when it comes to 5G?
Well, it really gives us the power to like take this from kind of kind of what you see on stage to almost that like just movies level quality. And the reason behind that is that like now we can do remote rendering, and so two things are critically possible with for Spatial. So one, the avatars can now become crazy lifelike because we can have depth cameras. We can actually turn on every depth camera on every headset in the room, and now you have like 7 different cameras that you could be stitching together, a real lifetime model instead of an avatar that we generate. We'll actually have complete lifelike avatars. Second thing is that we can now do remote rendering, and so you saw some of that talked on stage, and really high fidelity models. There's literally no limit to it now, because currently these headsets, we're using the processor that's inside them, a mobile processor, and there's limits to that. In the future with remote rendering, we can render a Star Wars level scene in real time, and so not only we have hyper realistic real time avatars, like people presence, but you also have room presence, which gives you effectively teleportation when you can simulate everything with that high fidelity.
You're basically making a holodeck, aren't you?
That's on your head that walks around. Yeah, that goes with you.
Well, it's really, really incredible, and it's so exciting to talk to you, at the forefront of this. Congratulations on the success so far, and it's really fun to see where this is all going, and that's part of the fun of being down here too at the Qualcomm Snapdragon Summit, is getting to see this cutting-edge tech innovation that's happening right in front of us, like what Spatial is doing, like what Anand is doing, like what Qualcomm is doing. And if you want to find out more about any of this, you can always go to digitaltrends.com and follow up on everything that we've been talking about there. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibler. Thank you so much for joining us. Wherever you find us, hit that subscribe button. That way you get the notifications when we do go live. And we like to talk about up-to-date technology and cutting-edge uses of technology, including blockchain. What are the things that it can do for us? Well, we're always finding out more uses, and in particular about how we can store our data, and medical data is what we're going to be talking about right now. Joining us, we have Krista McFarland, who's the founder and CEO of Patientory. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, Krista, so I want to give everybody an overview of what your company is, and maybe you can walk through what some of the problems are that you found with data and why you wanted to found this company.
Absolutely. Well, I started Patientory based on my past experience working and developing a telemedicine software and company out of New York City. One of the major problems we had was actually gaining access to patient data, whether that was the actual patients who came in to see doctors over the app who couldn't gain access to the information, or whether it was our doctors who were going to these different insurance providers and healthcare institutions that wouldn't, give them the necessary information in order to treat their patients. So as we continue to look at the digital trends that are occurring in healthcare, and as healthcare continues to adopt technology, one of the major issues is access to private health data. So I started Patientory with the focus of being able to securely store and access information to empower end users, whether that's a physician, a patient, with actionable insights into learning more about their healthcare information.
I love this increased access and interconnectivity to data because that's so important when it comes to medical information. I would imagine, if you switch cities, switch doctors, you want to be able to have that information accessible for everybody on both sides, like you were just talking about. So, looking at it from that point of view, what is it about blockchain and I guess the platform that you're using that enables this universal access to that data?
Yeah, so with blockchain, right now, we're able to securely integrate into legacy siloed electronic medical record database systems, which currently are walled gardens. So they're housed in these, healthcare institutions. It may be on an Epic platform or a Cerner platform, which are two of the major current electronic medical record systems that do not talk to each other. So with blockchain, we're able to use it as an infrastructure technology to start to begin to interoperate the data to make it accessible. And what's really important about this is, our company, we see the patients as the center of this ecosystem. So using blockchain and smart contracts, we're able to provide patients with a secure key where they actually have ownership to this information and can share it with whomever they want to.
So the patients themselves have access to their own data. And I feel like that's something that a lot of us don't have right now. Is that right?
Not at all. It's your most valuable and personal information you don't have access to. Especially if when we look at our chronic disease population who see multiple, providers and specialists in different, clinic settings, that it's really hard to manage that information and gain access to it all at once, especially when these different clinics are on different systems.
So being able to access those different systems is so key because, like you said, they're walled gardens, but with this software, what you have with your platform, you can access that and incorporate it into this overall view of the data utilizing blockchain. So with that, and this is something we ask everybody when it comes down to that, when we talk about all this data out there and very sensitive information, what are some of the ways that you're able to keep that secure and safe for both the doctors or whoever else is accessing it?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the key to what blockchain is also pushing is this concept and notion of decentralization and distribution. So while data right now is centralized, as we these walled gardens, they actually serve as honeypots for cybersecurity theft and breaches. So the fact that we're using blockchain to decentralize this information and create a network where we also employ cryptographic encryption mechanisms to actually keep that information safe is really important, and the future of not only data storage but how we access, sensitive information.
What has the reaction been from the medical community so far, and maybe the adoption rate of your platform?
Yeah, I mean, healthcare, it takes a while. It took us
Yeah.
10 years. It took an actual decade to digitize health information. And you probably still go to some rural places and they're still using paper records. So while this notion of, decentralized, information is really important right now, we see ONC in our country who heads up, our overall healthcare technology initiatives are pushing this. Um, it's going to take a while to educate the C-suite and stakeholders in the industry, even though they do see this as the future.
Yeah, there is just something about the medical community that does seem to be a little bit behind when it comes to that kind of adoption of technology. And there's probably good reasons for it, but it's always one of those things where it's like, why are we still on paper records? Yeah, we should be doing this right here, what you're doing. Looking at it for somebody out there, so maybe a patient or anybody who wants to utilize this, how do they get on your platform and get access to this data?
Yeah, right now we actually have a private beta app where we currently take signups and people who are on wait lists to go ahead and test it, as well as pilot it with their current health institutions. So right now it's available via the App Store. You can actually go to our website at patientory.com and sign up as an interested user to start owning your health information.
I will definitely do that. That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, too. It's such an interesting conversation to see how you're using blockchain. That's definitely going to help people's lives. I mean, access to data is so key, and it's nice that we can finally get access to that and see what all those notes are about ourselves. So Chris, thank you so much for joining us today here on Digital Trends Live.
Thank you again for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right, so what a really great use of blockchain right there, and that's something that we all want. We all know that our data is being utilized in so many different ways, but access to our medical data is key. I mean, we should have access to that, right? So that's one of those great uses of blockchain, and Patientory is certainly on top of that and utilizing that platform. All right, here's what's coming up next. We're going to take a break, and then I'm going to be joined from our New York studio by Corey Gaskin, who's going to be unboxing a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Star Wars edition. I am extremely jealous, but we're going to get to see that. We'll be going there live to New York here as we come up onto the break where Corey's going to be with us. So there he is right there, getting prepared. That is the behind the scenes prep if we're taking a look at that. But it's coming up here in just a little bit. So stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thanks for joining us. Hit that subscribe button on whatever platform you are watching. Share the show. Let people know about it and join in the conversations. I want to say thank you to everybody who's having their own conversations on YouTube right now or LinkedIn or Facebook, wherever you're at. And if you have questions, let us know what those are because we can certainly bring those up as we go through the show. One of the fun things we get to do are unboxings. We get to take a look at some pretty cool products and show you what it's like. And this is definitely a cool product we're going to be talking about right now. We have Corey, who's out in our New York studio with the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus Star Wars Edition. It already looks badass. And Corey, tell us about what this is that you have here in your hand.
So, as you can see, very special packaging here. This is the Note 10 Plus Star Wars Edition that has a few extra things in this package. As you can see, a little bit bigger than a smartphone package. You have Galaxy Buds in here. You have some special Star Wars memorabilia, just a little badge I think we're going to get to see. So you're not just getting the phone, but you're getting Galaxy Buds and some cool color themes here too, along with some software customizations for the Star Wars theme.
So this is on sale right now, so people can pick it up. I believe that just went on sale today, actually. So we have it right here with us. Let's go ahead and walk through this and start unboxing that. I cannot wait to see what's inside.
Let's get it going. Yeah. So first thing first. Okay. By the way, Greg, are you a big Star Wars fan?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm not. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan.
Okay.
Who's this on the front? Is this Kylo Ren?
Oh my God. Okay. Yes, that's Kylo Ren. That is Kylo Ren right there on the front.
I thought so. I know things. Yeah. So there we got him. Got his mask off.
Yep.
Taking that. Put that in.
I will
All right.
explain every Star Wars piece that comes out of this box. That's how this is the good team right here.
Yeah. What's the dark side?
Oh,
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know what the dark side is.
YouTube, you can
I'll
leave
show
your
you the
comments
dark
right now.
side. It says.
Okay, so we're opening it up. So
I'm sure people love this.
so we're taking a look here
Okay.
as we're
This
live.
is the unveiling right here.
Oh.
Got a hinge. It's a hinge box. There's your cool Star Wars medallion, and a leather case. Oh, there you go. Pretty nice. Real leather.
Okay, so we're opening it
Get
up
to
here,
it.
and again as we're walking
Pretty
through.
cool.
So the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So you have their leather case right there. Is that a hard box? Is that a cardboard box or is that actual plastic?
Yeah, this is a pretty hard cardboard box, but as
Okay.
you can see, it's got a little hinge to it. It's got this Star Wars theme that is really a box you might hang on to.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so as we're going through, taking it out, so we have the case. What is that you have in your hand right there?
Yeah, this is the medallion. Oh, it's pretty heavy too. This might be heavier than the phone. This is your Star Wars medallion that you get in the box, and I don't know if you can hear that, but that's a pretty solid piece of metal right there.
So
Pretty cool looking too.
so it's like a
What can
commemorative-
you tell me about this? This is just his helmet, right?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's just commemorative metal, I guess. I don't know either, so I'm sure somebody can tell us. But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I think that's maybe just it. It's just supposed to
It
look
looks
cool.
really cool.
So yeah, so we have that right
All right.
there. And
Moving on.
yeah, continuing on. So that's the first layer that we have here, unboxing this. What do you have there?
SIM tool.
Okay.
You gotta have the SIM tool. Requisite things for a cell phone.
Yep, even
And
the
I guess
SIM
these
tool.
are some manuals, stuff you always need.
Okay,
The boring stuff.
right,
Let's
but
keep
even
it
the
moving
box
to the
is
fun
cool.
stuff. Let's get this out of here.
Okay, throw it out.
All right, what do we got? Another level that we're digging in here. There's definitely something under here. I don't know if I'm digging right, but I'm digging the only way I know how.
You're doing a good job.
Here we go.
You're digging great.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, okay, wow.
Oh,
So
okay.
about this.
See,
Check
this
that
is great.
out.
We're unboxing this now, so that whoever gets this, they don't have to go through the struggle you just did because you just figured it out for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, who knew? This box has a drawer. Pulls right out here. And that's where you get your Galaxy Buds, first and foremost.
Nice. Is that with the Star
Last but
Wars
not
font
least-
on it? Okay.
What was that?
So we got the Galaxy Buds. I'm just taking a look at there if there's anything Star Wars themed on the. Let's open up the Buds first.
Let's go for it. Got my handy utensils here.
Nice.
So everything has this Star Wars theme, this dark Star Wars theme. So the Galaxy Buds are included in that. You have the black case here, and I can already see a red outline on the inside. Let's flip these open. How do you like those?
Yes, I mean it's cool. I don't care what it is. It's just cool. So yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
the Kylo Ren dark side theme that they have going there. The red,
sure.
the red lightsaber. Okay,
For
so
sure.
So you got
and I'm a sucker for black and red, so I'm loving this. I'm with the dark side all the way now.
I'll send you some Blazers gear.
Galaxy Buds,
So
$30 value for you right there.
nice. So that's
We
included in
mentioned
this.
the $1,300 package.
Yeah, we should say this is this is the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So yeah, $1,300 for this whole package. This is the special Star Wars edition.
That's right.
That we're walking through here. That case was leather. Is that right?
Yeah, it's leather with like a hard shell on the inside.
Okay.
So it's just like leather covered, but it's a hard shell, has some like flex to it, but it's definitely it has a decent amount of protection with a nice level of class to it too.
So let's go
Last
ahead
but
and
not least, let's do this phone.
yeah, let's take a look at this phone. And again, this is the Kylo Ren dark side theme. Do you know if they? Well, I don't know if you know. Do they have a light theme, or is it just the dark side theme?
It's definitely a dark side theme for sure, and there's the dark side for you.
All right, let's take a
Have
look at that. See if we can get
red
that
accents
camera
on
here.
there,
It's so cool.
and the buttons, really nice.
I mean,
Really
knowing
look
too.
to it, and-
Yeah. Okay. So in here we're taking a look here right now too. We've got the box up, just showcasing everything that comes in this. So this is pretty awesome. I mean, I know it's marketing and Star Wars does a lot of it, but I can definitely understand why somebody would want to go ahead and get this one. So just talking on the actual phone itself, can you tell us, since this is the Note 10 Plus, what you're getting with this phone as far as the actual internals of it?
So this is a 256 gigabyte version. You're going to get 12 gigabytes of RAM and the triple camera system, which was one of our favorite camera systems of the year. Ultra wide angle lens, regular lens, telephoto lens, time of flight sensor, so you can take 3D scans. I'm willing to bet there's some fun I hope at least that there's some fun Star Wars things that they added in with that 3D scanner so that you can maybe scan yourself onto the body of Kylo Ren or something cool like that. They haven't told us the software customizations yet. We're just going to have to turn it on and see. But one of the other things that they changed was you had to go for the S Pen. You guessed it. It's a lightsaber thing.
Oh, dude.
So there you go. You got the Kylo Ren. Well, it doesn't exactly have all the... It's not the same shape, but you got the red one.
You do.
Right on there.
You do.
Okay, booting up now. I don't know if you can see the screen very well, but Kylo Ren's your opening splash screen, which was pretty cool.
So we're unboxing this live. We're seeing some comments come through here that people are leaving. I won't answer all of them, but nonetheless, this is what we're looking at here. So this is the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, Star Wars themed, Kylo Ren. The S Pen is a lightsaber. I mean, come on, they're hitting up all of the nostalgia points here. So
They hit all the right bases for sure.
So again, we're doing this live, and this is one of those things. Reading one of the comments, Martin, they should have had someone who actually loves Star Wars to do this. I do, Martin. I do, Martin.
Sorry, bud. Not
Corey
on
knows
the
the
floor.
phones. I know the Star Wars. That's why this is a team operation here. But if Corey wants to send it out to Portland and we can showcase it here on the show, I mean, that's totally something we could do.
That's a thought. We'll
Okay,
think on
I
that.
just wanted to see if I was going to get.
But
a
I
yes
did
or
want.
no.
Okay, I just noticed something. I'm going to try and let you hear it when
Okay.
you pull out the lightsaber.
Oh, come on. Yep.
Can you hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You get a nice. Yeah, that's.
It's
and
very
when you
satisfying.
put it back in, you get a nice sound effect too.
It's very satisfying. That is awesome.
Should be satisfying for all you Star Wars nerds.
Yes, indeed. That is me. So again, you can send that to Portland for the Digital Trends office. But all right, so there it is. That is anything else in the box that we can see, or is that we're at the finale
Yeah, let's
right there?
make sure that we're not missing anything here.
Okay.
Doesn't look like it. That's all the packaging, all the things that I expected, so no more surprises there.
Okay, but still.
That is the official unboxing of the Star Wars edition.
There it is. All right, the Star Wars Edition Galaxy Note 10 Plus, 256 gig version, $1,300. You get everything Kylo Ren that you'd ever want, and a medallion. And Corey, thank you for unboxing and showcasing this. Again, I am extremely jealous. I'm not even going to attempt to hide that on the show right now. And yeah, you know, if it makes its way to Portland, I mean, I'm not gonna be mad about that. But there it is. So anybody who wants to pick that up, they can go check that out. And I'm sure we'll have something up at digitaltrends.com about it as well. Corey, thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
I'm so incredibly jealous. All right. We have more to talk about, though. Let's continue on with the show, shall we? So hello to everybody who's watching live on whatever platform you are watching right now. Let's talk about what we have coming up, and I'm going to tell you that right now. We are going to be, actually, this is pretty exciting what we're going to be talking about next. So we're going to have Sarah Hule, who's the CEO and chief storyteller of a company called Helium, on. And we have been actually trying this out. It's an AR and VR platform to help manage stress in a drug-free way. And it actually has biometrical data that it utilizes. It's able to sense your brainwaves. It's a really, really cool platform. We're going to be discussing that. We've got news coming up. We have Ken Yeung from Flipboard who's going to be joining us for Tech Brief. So stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. You can join in the conversation because we are live. So if you have questions, please put those into whatever platform you are watching. And I'm really excited to talk about this next product. We talk about virtual reality and augmented reality quite a bit here on the show, and the different utilizations of it and how it can actually be incorporated into so many different fields of interest. And right now we're going to talk about the medical side, where there's such great possibilities. And this is a company, Helium, who is certainly working on those right now, and they have it right here. So we're going to be talking to Sarah Hule, who's joining us right now, the CEO and chief storyteller. Hello, thank you so much for joining us here on the show today.
Great, it's awesome to be here chatting with you today, and hello to everyone who's watching.
And I want to say this, we have had this test unit here in the office for the last few days, and we've all been trying it out, and we all love this so much. But before we get into what all it does, I wanted you to maybe give us a little bit of a backstory on the product itself and what some of the problems are that you're trying to solve with it.
Yeah, so Helium is a virtual and augmented reality platform that's powered by your biometric information. So it's powered by your electricity that's inside your body from your wearables, whether that be your smartwatch or an EEG headband. We can harness the power of those different feeling states and allow you to control virtual and augmented reality worlds with your emotions. And Helium is a self-management tool for anxiety. That's for me. I was a television broadcaster for 20 years, and the digital diet that I had chose to consume, and with all of the things that were going on in the world with your social media feed, living by a police scanner, it ultimately made me sick. So Helium is for me as much as it is for the 41 million people who struggle with anxiety.
That is so true. And I feel like for a lot of us out there, too, that digital diet that you brought up, I mean, definitely for you with 20 years of news broadcasting, I can only imagine. But this is something that can really help out a lot of people. And one of the interesting things, I want to get into talking about what the VR programs are, but let's go to that biometrical data side of things. So tell us about this that I have here in my hand and what all it can do.
Yeah, so that's a Muse One meditation headband. There's just a little EEG strip that's not putting anything into your head. It's just listening to your brain patterns, much like a pair of headphones. And when paired with our virtual or augmented reality content, you can power these experiences with your thoughts. You can power these experiences with a smartwatch via your Apple Watch. In augmented reality. And so there are very specific brain patterns associated with positivity or associated with calm. We have different protocols. So you can power these experiences with a brain pattern called gamma asymmetry, which is associated with feelings of positivity, love, joy, appreciation. Or you can power them by quieting your mind. So, for instance, if you think happy thoughts, it's kind of like Peter Pan. You fly up the side of a beautiful waterfall in virtual reality. Or your feelings of calm, instead of close your eyes and meditate, it's open your eyes and become more self-aware of those thoughts and emotions that are inside you. So essentially what Helium is doing is just allowing you to see those feelings and to know that they have power to control things, not only in the virtual world, but the real world as well. And you see in this augmented reality experience, you can make the flurries fly in a magic snow globe. You can illuminate the planets with your heart rate. You can grow flowers with your feelings of calm. It's power steering, if you will, for traditional mindfulness and meditation, and allows you to know, have a little idea to know, am I doing it right? You can, much like Harry Potter, cast a spirit animal out into the environment with different feeling states and see that little animal come around as your positive vibes personified inside the screen.
It is really fascinating how it works, and yeah, like you said, you have the EKG reader right there, and this is how it, for anybody who wants to know how, put it on. This is how I believe I'm doing it right.
Yeah, and it's EEG, which stands for
EEG, excuse me.
electroencephalogram. Back in the day, you used to have a huge, 24-channel EEG cap. Now these are consumer EEG with the Muse One meditation headband. And then you're able to pair it with our experiences as a remote control. You're controlling it with your brain.
So this pairs up with the VR platforms that you have, and let's walk through a little bit of that as far as how this all works together, because this is one of the interesting things that we've been seeing. Obviously this, like you said, this pairs up with this or with the smartwatch, but on the technical side of things, what is it doing with the program itself as far as reading that and interacting with the VR environment?
Yeah, so it's a Bluetooth connection. Your smartwatch can communicate with your mobile device. And our apps are on iOS and Android in addition to the Oculus Store. And so your smartwatch, that heart rate data via Bluetooth, pairs with your mobile device and our technology, and it allows you to control these experiences or modify this content with a brain pattern or with a heart rate. And it's the same thing with the headband. You're able to pair these the headband with a virtual reality headset, and then you use Helium's technology and Helium's content in order to escape to different beautiful places.
So tell us about the importance of this kind of platform and what you see with this kind of treatment as far as using virtual reality or augmented reality versus traditional ways of managing stress.
Yeah, so the brain believes what it sees. 75% of people are visual learners. We have 3 different published studies. This is an evidence-based intervention. Frontiers in Psychology, Journal of Neuroregulation, the Scholarly Journal of Behavioral Science and Psychology showed that Helium not only reduced anxiety quickly by a third in as little as 4 minutes, but increased an area of the brain called gamma asymmetry, which is associated with those feelings of positivity. So these kits are being used in areas of acute situational confined stress, anything that sucks that you have to go through, blood donations, infusion clinics, any place that has a needle. You can not only instantly escape inside the goggles, But you could have your mobile device there. Parents are using it with their children to teach them about their mind-body connection that allows them to see what it's like to calm down. Schools are using it instead of timeouts. They're giving helium outs to a child. When you tell your child, okay, go get your act together, or leave this space so you can go get your emotions back intact. What does that mean? Well, with helium, it very concretely means go and hatch butterflies with that feeling of positivity. Go float up that waterfall with your thoughts of quiet mind. So it's again, easy ways for people who might struggle with traditional mindfulness or meditation. And every 60 days, we add a new piece of content to the platform. So it never gets old, either with our augmented reality, our iPhone or Android apps, or in virtual reality as well. You can go through your brain and see some of the different areas and how they work. You can be in a Zen garden. You can let the cherry blossoms float all around you. It's just virtual peace. And again, that reminder that your thoughts have power.
It's really an incredible platform, and I do mean that too sincerely. We've all been trying it out here and are very big fans of what it can do. It's very relaxing, and it's, for me personally, like, this is something that I can definitely interact with versus maybe traditional ways of stress management wouldn't work as well. This has been a really nice thing to use, and I want to let people know too, for people out there who want to utilize this kind of platform. And you mentioned some of the places where it's being incorporated in right now. How can people get access to it? How can they use this and get set up with something like this?
Yes, we have an e-commerce site on our website, and that's at tryhelium.com. And a reminder that helium is spelled like heal, like healing. So that's try, Healium. And it's a subscription basis. So you subscribe, and again, every 60 days, you get a piece of content.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us here to talk about this. It's really an amazing product, and really appreciate you joining us here to just talk about what you're doing with this, and best of continued success with it.
Absolutely. Positive vibes to you and virtual peace. Have a great day.
Thank you. That was really incredible. So again, this product really is, I'm sincerely, we've tried it. It's really great, and it's nice to see different uses of technology to manage problems that we all have, like stress. I know we need to get going on because we have a lot to talk about. We have Ken Yeung from Flipboard who's going to join us for another edition of Tech Brief, so stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you everyone for joining us. It is now time for another edition of Tech Briefs, which is our weekly segment where myself and Ken Yeung from Flipboard recap the biggest stories in tech. And I want to say this, today's episode of Tech Briefs is being brought to you by Bombas Socks. Bombas Socks are made with the softest cotton in the world and with extra cushioning. So no matter where you're walking or what you're doing, you'll be perfectly comfortable. Bombas also has a mission to help others. So for every item purchased, they will also donate a specially designed pair of socks to someone in need. You can take advantage of a great offer right now by going to bombas.com/digital and get 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/digital for 20% off, bombas.com/digital. All right, let's get on and talk about some of the biggest stories in tech. To do so, I have joining me Mr. Ken Yeung. Hello, Ken.
Hey, Greg, nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. And for mid-December, it was a surprisingly really busy week in tech. So let's get started off with the beginning of the week. And one of the big announcements from Apple, which is the Mac Pro is out and it is expensive. But for a reason, it's actually designed. The Pro in this is actually something that actually means something, I feel like, versus Pro and some of the other platforms that you use that term in, because this is designed for really high-end use cases. But starting at $6,000, it can go all the way up to $52,000.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, if I asked my parents to buy me this for Christmas, this is going to not only be Christmas, but it's my birthday, wedding, graduation, whatever else presents for my grandkids. This is an expensive computer that, is made for the professionals. It's not made for the college student. I mean, unless you're pretty well off. But look, you're right. This is at the base model. It's about $6,000 just for the computer. Now, if you want to tack on that Pro Display XDR monitor, that's going to cost you way more. I believe that's another $4,000 right there. And if you go soup to nuts with all out custom features, you're looking at about the cost of a Cybertruck. And I don't know about you, but I personally would probably want the Mac Pro versus the Cybertruck, because unless the Cybertruck is an actual Optimus Prime transformer, that's not going to do me as much as a Mac Pro.
You know what? I'm going with the Cybertruck. I got to go with that. I think it's what I would choose if we were each given $52,000. Clearly, that's a study that we need to do where each of us takes that and then we'll test them out and see who's happier. But that is what we're looking at there with the Mac Pro, and we had to bring that up because it's definitely one of the biggest product announcements that we had this week. So people are taking advantage of it, and again, it is for a very high-end user who's going to be using that, a very professional, videographer, any kind of things like that. A lot of editing, processing power that you're going to need with that. So that's the Mac Pro. Let's continue on, though, talk about some other news. Facebook, as always, finds its way into our tech news this week, but now it's with some disagreements it's having with the Department of Justice and with the Senate, and there's a couple of things to unravel with this. One of them being that when it comes to encryption, earlier in the week, Facebook has made it no secret they're going to integrate WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook and further entrench each of those apps into each other, but they're also going to make end-to-end encryption a possibility. This is something that they believe is necessary for them as a company and for the end user, to where all of your messages are encrypted. Well, the government asked if they would provide a backdoor for government uses to be able to get into that, and Facebook flat out said no. And I think that's a good thing that they said no. That's protecting the consumer, but it's leading to some other consequences that are falling down, and that's what the big news was yesterday with the FTC. I think that this definitely has something to do with it, putting out a preliminary injunction against Facebook. Can you walk us through those details?
Oh, absolutely. So if you recall earlier this year, and very similar to what you just mentioned, Facebook has been under fire for the past couple of years over their abuse of consumer data, of over their users' data. And so Mark Zuckerberg decided to do a surprise pivot of sorts, and earlier this year, it said, look, we're going to integrate Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Instagram together, and we're going to basically streamline everything and allow end-to-end encryption. So this seemed pretty good. No work has been done quite yet. I mean, well, I should correct myself. Some work has been done behind the scenes, but not a lot that most people will see. But at the end of the day, the Department of Justice and Congress are basically saying, look, this is great. We support privacy, but you need to give law enforcement access to this data so that we can curb criminal behavior on you guys Facebook controls 3 of the largest messaging apps in the world. And so the law enforcement needs to have a way to make cases against criminals, pedophiles, sex traffickers, and the like. So, but Facebook's saying, look, no, we're not going to do that. We don't want to compromise user data, user privacy, and we want to make sure everyone has that end-to-end encryption. WhatsApp, if you recall, does already have end-to-end encryption, but Facebook wants to extend that to all these other messaging apps. Department of Justice is fighting against that. And the U.S. Senate has said, look, either you figure it out, tech companies in general need to figure out encryption, weaken it, or we're going to regulate encryption. And that could pose some serious issues in 2020.
Yeah, the FTC putting out this injunction about Facebook further integrating their apps and making that threat. It actually did affect their stock. Stock went down on Facebook. That's probably something that I would imagine will bounce back, but still it's having an effect. And this is certainly the biggest representation for a tech company of going to battle about user data. You had some of this stuff with Apple before with the iPhone as far as encryption, and them saying no, and then people kind of figured out ways around it. I suppose it's possible somebody could figure out a way around what Facebook is doing, but they're going to battle saying, no, we're sticking to our guns, this is what we're gonna do. So how this all shakes out, yeah, the ramifications could be huge, and whatever happens to Facebook is what we're going to see fall out with everybody else too.
But I would caution though that like with the FTC, that's just currently reported. The FTC has not taken any official action yet against that, and they're at the very least they're looking to stop the technical integration, according to New York Times, the technical integration of the 3 messaging services together. Now, what other further action could that lead to? Could that lead to breaking up Facebook in terms of from their messaging apps? According to the New York Times, like the FTC hasn't really had any precedent to undo mergers that have already been closed. And if you recall, Facebook bought Instagram for over $1 billion, and Facebook bought WhatsApp for over $20 billion. So, and those deals all closed. The FTC approved both acquisitions. So it'll be very interesting to see if the FTC actually does take action, or if they are currently doing the bidding of the DOJ and the Senate in terms of wanting to weaken encryption. But one thing, especially to note, the FTC is currently investigating Facebook over antitrust violations. So it'll be very interesting to see in 2020 what happens, and not only with Facebook, but also just tech in general.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point, too, that you brought up, because there's a lot happening, and there's a lot of different moving parts to it, but whether it's part of all one machine or it's different things that are going against Facebook, that's true. I guess it's easy to draw that line, but it's not necessarily the line that's there. But these are all things that are happening with Facebook, and there's a lot that's going to shake out regardless on all of those issues in the coming weeks. All right, so one other thing a couple other things that we just want to get to really quick. When it comes to social media, Facebook also announcing that they have created or they're going to be creating a basically Supreme Court of social media to help them monitor the activity on Facebook, so that it's kind of separate from them. They can take it to them. Twitter also saying that they want to create a decentralized platform for all social media, utilizing this thing they're calling Blue Skies. This basically, it's not anything yet, but it's their idea where they're taking some developers and being like, okay, create this decentralized platform, and then we'll just exist on it. So I think that's just another sign of the social networks understanding that people are concerned about how much control they have, what privacy it has on there, and trying to just at least say, hey, look, we're doing something.
Yeah, it's 2 different approaches, right? I mean, both companies aren't, it'd be fascinating to see if both companies can go in that same direction in terms of trying to solve a problem. But you can see it's a tale of 2 cities. Facebook's trying to say, look, we want an independent source to help us judge our content that's on our platform. And so they're looking to create the Supreme Court, which could overrule Mark Zuckerberg's decisions in terms of content. But about a year after Zuckerberg proclaimed that there was a Supreme Court in the works, we're still waiting on that. And the Facebook has clearly said this week that they're going to take their time in terms of picking out who's going to participate in this court. They're going to invest, I believe, $130 million to pay the salary and basically set up this operation. Now you look at Twitter. Twitter's now just in exploratory mode. They're trying to figure out this decentralization social network type of thing. Whether or not that involves the blockchain, who knows? They're investigating that right now with a small team of researchers. It's almost probably, we could probably expect some sort of white paper next year. But they're immediately receiving criticism from other platforms such as Mastodon, who are saying, look, Twitter, we've been doing this. Where have you guys been? Like, talk to us. We've been figuring this out. But whether or not this type of approach will solve Twitter's safety issue, its harassment issue, and whatever else is plaguing the evils of the world and on the internet, that it's totally unclear whether decentralization will actually make a difference, or just kind of push everything into the shadows.
Definitely some big issues that are going on in tech as far as understanding how all that's going to shake out. And I know we're out of time. I just want to briefly mention that if anybody wants to follow up, there is the new Xbox Series X that was announced. This Project Scarlet is no more. The new Xbox platform was announced. So the gaming wars are going to be heating up, and that's probably something we'll be talking about a lot too in the coming weeks. But you can read more about everything we've been discussing at Flipboard or at digitaltrends.com and catch up with all of the news that is going on. It's something that we like to do here with Tech Briefs. And Ken, I want to say thank you very much. As always, it's fun talking about tech. There's never enough time to get it all in, but we try to help people out with at least to be knowledgeable on some of the biggest stories that have gone on. Ken, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
All right, I know we need to get to a break because we have a lot to talk about here because there are so many different things and aspects of tech that we've been covering here on the show. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's joining us live wherever you're at. So coming up next here in studio, we have Carla Freedy, the co-founder and CEO of Invoice Pay, to talk about their platform and what they're using tech for and cloud-based solutions to solve for enterprise issues. All right, so all that's coming up. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. Hit that subscribe button and join in the conversations that we get to have about technology. I'm Greg Nibbler, and we like to talk about entrepreneurs and different solutions that people find to problems that existed before but tech can solve, and that is what we're going to be talking about right now. So I'm very excited. We have Carla Freedy, the co-founder and CEO of Invoice Pay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So let's give everybody a bit of a background. You know, you've been at this for a while as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as somebody who's been working at this. Can you tell everybody what problems you saw back when you founded the company and that you wanted Invoice Pay to solve?
So Invoice Pay does something that sounds really simple, but it's very complex. And so we transform the complicated and expensive effort that goes into paying suppliers, and we make that a streamlined, efficient, automated flow. Okay. So in other words, we help big companies pay their invoices electronically. And the world of business is so much different than the world of consumers.
Right.
So that as consumers, we think, how could this be a problem, right? Because we can go online and we can do bill pay through multiple portals, multiple banks, using our phone, many different ways. But in business, it's really hard to pay invoices, right? And the world is really paper bound. So Invoice Pay uses technology and software to change that into a very efficient flow and make it much more like a consumer experience. So when we started Invoice Pay back in 2009, nobody was talking about B2B payments, right? Nobody had ever made money in B2B payments. The landscape was littered with failures, quite literally. And in Portland, Oregon, it's hard to raise money, right? And it was the start of the recession. So sometimes we laugh, 3 strikes against us.
Yeah, that's a rough time to start a business.
B2B payments, recession in Portland, Oregon. But it was such a big opportunity and such a big problem that we were able to attack it and solve it.
And able to, create this company that now you have is thriving, 10 years later.
Exactly.
Talking about it from that standpoint, just to understand a little bit more about the product, I also want to talk about your experience as an entrepreneur as well. But the product itself, so now that businesses are able to easily send and receive invoices, I suppose, from business to business, are you utilizing a lot of like cloud-based solutions? Can you speak a little bit to the technical side of that?
Yeah. When I talk tech, our engineers kind of roll their eyes back in their head.
General.
So, yeah, right,
we don't
right,
have
right.
to get too far into it.
So think of us as the next generation of payment automation software.
Okay.
So the first generation was really banks going around and trying to get companies, hey, you can pay electronically, use our credit card. Well, that, there are plenty of businesses that take cards and you can move some payments electronically that way, but it's a small percent of the payments. And the real problem in paying your suppliers electronically is understanding what they accept. What kinds of payments do they accept? Where's the remittance go? What information do they need about that invoice to receive?
Yeah.
So the data is the problem. And there are hundreds of thousands, millions of suppliers out there, right? So in the consumer space, there's 10,000. You can consolidate those on a bill pay website. But the world of suppliers and capturing that data, managing that data dynamically is the big problem. So we created cloud-based software, and we use the cloud to bring down the cost of collecting and managing that data. In other words, we bring a supplier into our network, and once they're in our network, they can be paid by all the other customers in our network.
Okay.
And so think about as we get bigger, we get faster and stronger, right? So the day we turn a customer on, they can pay hundreds of thousands of suppliers now that are already in our network.
Because you've made this uniform platform that they can all go to and interact in.
Right. So we capture the data, we dynamically use it, and we use the software to remove the errors. Think of it as a gated community almost. We take the errors out at the front gate, right?
Okay.
We prevent a lot of businesses from making problems. So the dirty little secret of B2B payments is things go wrong, right? Customers make mistakes, suppliers make mistakes. So we use the software to find those mistakes, to give customers a chance to fix them before it becomes a payment. And that's important because
that's great.
Payments are not software, right? There's money in flight.
Yeah.
And when there's money in flight, somebody's not been paid, a customer doesn't know where their money is at, and it's an issue. So we reduce those errors, we manage that data, and we deliver a great experience to the supplier, right? So now they can see who paid them, how much was paid. So we automate that and kind of make it a push button. So now our customers can push a button and send hundreds of thousands of payments to invoice pay.
All at one time.
All at one time.
Wow.
Without worrying about it.
That's tremendous as far as just managing workloads. And I can only imagine, some of the things that you've seen over this time of growing this company and the changing way that people, do pay, obviously with invoice pay being one of them. Can you speak to just being this long into the industry, some of the changes that you've seen and where you see the space going, like say in the next 5 years or so?
So this category, and again, I think we're all impacted by our understanding of consumer payments.
Yeah,
and how
which has
fast
changed a lot.
It has changed a lot. It has changed very quickly. There's titans on the landscape. B2B payments has changed very slowly. So this category of payment automation is still really early. It is, less than 5% of the market has software like invoice pays. That's really next generation software that allows them to pay 100% of their payments electronically. So consider that we're, if you're a Jeffrey Moore fan, we're early in that crossing the chasm in that technology adoption.
Okay.
So we got a long way to go in
Yeah.
just base payments. But as the payment flow becomes more digital, oh my gosh, there's tons of opportunity to create value. And as that payment is connected with the invoice upstream, so now customers can see, geez, did they pay on time? Did they capture all the discounts that maybe they had with a supplier, right? And downstream, suppliers, now we have an approved invoice. If the supplier wants early access to capital, we can do that. So coupling the data with the payment earlier on in that flow, there's a lot of opportunity to build more value to both the buyer and the supplier.
So it's really a growing and expanding category.
It is.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's going to have crazy growth the next couple of years.
Last thing I wanted to ask you is just for everybody out there who, speaking to your tech side and forming a business, what would be your number one rule or advice that you would give to somebody who's out there starting a business right now?
It's so funny because I'm asked this a lot, and I think starting a business sounds really great, and the reality of how hard it is, sometimes I would laugh with my husband and go, oh my gosh, if I knew how hard this was, I never would have done it. He goes, well, then I'm glad you didn't know, right?
Yeah.
This has been great. But for entrepreneurs, what I would say is when you start a business, you have to focus all your resources on your product, right? And getting customer proof points. So as investors don't want to invest until you're proven, right?
Yeah.
Until you have success and lots of customers and growth rates. And so you have to, as an entrepreneur, think and be very scrappy and be very careful with those funds, right? Use your own funds, raise seed money, establish proof points early, and then raising capital becomes so much easier, right?
That is some great advice. Yeah. So that way you have that record that people can see.
Yeah.
When you're going forward. Well, thank you so much for coming in here and talking about your company, and for everybody out there too, for businesses who want to utilize it, what's the best place for them to go?
InvoicePay.
InvoicePay.com?
And yeah, so it's invoicepay.com. And our customers, we have some very big customers. They can come and see, we have customers, MGM and Lyft and Polis and Swinnerton, some very big customers who use it. So they can come to our website and start a conversation.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us here in
Thank
studio
you. It's a
to talk
pleasure.
about this.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody who's watching live too. We appreciate everybody who's tuning in. We cover a lot of things on here, and it's always great to talk to somebody like Carla and just like walk through some of the different things that you've tackled and handled. And we have more coming up, so we're gonna take a break. We'll come back. We have Between the Streams. Ryan Monita is gonna come in here. We're gonna talk about some things happening in movies and entertainment to round out the day here on this Friday. We are live. Stick around. Back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. It's Friday, and we are rounding out the end of the show with our usual segment here. It is time for Between the Streams. I'm Greg Nibbler, here with Ryan Juanita.
That's correct.
That is you. It is you. It is Ryan. He is here. And we are going to talk about movies and entertainment. So, the first thing that I wanted to bring up, I know it's a week away, but Star Wars.
No, it's all Star Wars now.
It's all Star Wars everywhere. And I actually stopped watching some of the trailers because I'm like, okay.
I know. I tried not to watch the clip, but I had to watch the clip.
But you have to watch the clip.
I know. It's really annoying. Stop sending us stuff. We just want to watch the movie.
Well, we've got a lot of articles at Digital Trends, too, about what to expect and what people are wanting out of this movie and how they expect it to wrap up. For me, just before we get into it, next week, I feel like no matter what happens, there's going to be half the people that will hate it and half will love it. No matter what it is.
Maybe.
What do you think?
So I think that this is a really interesting time for Star Wars in a lot of ways. The Mandalorian has brought it some goodwill that was sort of, I think, in some ways pulled back with movies like Solo. Mm-hmm. So I think The Mandalorian has made it hot again. Maybe it's made it so that people want that retro, so they're not going to be as excited about the newer stories. I don't know. But I do think that the interesting thing about this movie is it's really an endgame situation.
Yeah.
And Endgame is one of the only movies I've ever seen, and by that I mean Avengers Endgame, not overall Endgame. But yeah, that's one of the only movies I've ever seen that perfectly tied up with a bow such a massive spectrum of films.
Yeah.
We'd never seen it before. This is now positioned in a very similar situation, so it's really just all about, can Abrams stick the landing? And I think it's going to be less controversial than Last Jedi, so it won't have as much divide. Yeah. I think it will either be pretty much everybody thinks they stuck the landing and it tied up everything perfectly, or the other way it could go very wrong.
Yeah.
But I think the early statements we've been having from fans and people that have gotten those sort of early looks at it, it's looking like it's going to be very good. And very sort of hopefully a nice exhalation on this 9-movie trilogy, tri-trilogy.
Well, I would be watching it next Thursday evening.
Yeah.
I'm going on the Thursday evening, so I'll be watching it. So 1 week from now, we will know more. We won't give you any spoilers, but we'll know more about it. And it's just going to be nonstop. So expect that for the next week and weeks. It's going to be all Star Wars all the time. But let's talk about a couple other things.
Sure.
Going out a little bit further, we are in the middle of, as Ryan coined before, a Keanu-assance.
That's true.
And that is officially coined right here on Between the Streams.
Well, it's actually just Keanu Sans.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mispronounced
You mispronounced it.
My bad. The Keanu-assance, actually. This has to do with some news that came out about Matrix 4, which we know is going to be happening. We have Matrix 4, and then also John Wick 4, and the report that they're both going to be coming out on the same day.
Yeah, May 21, 2021 is officially going to be Keanu Day.
Yeah.
Forever.
There's no way that's going to stick. They've got to change that.
You're
right?
probably right.
Somebody's got to back down.
This is, I said it's like a Keanu Reeves feedback loop. Like something went terribly wrong and now he just stars in every movie.
We're in Keanu Matrix,
yeah. It's like that Matrix 2 where it's just everywhere is, Mr. Smith, Agent Smith, except it's Keanu instead. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do here, but yeah, you think they're going to split the vote and that's just going to, then the other guy's going to win. It's going to split the Keanu vote.
Right.
And then some romantic comedy is going to take the box office that week.
Make us choose.
Yeah, I think it's a bad idea. Or maybe he's that powerful. Maybe everyone will just
everybody will just go to both.
Double feature. They're going to go to a movie on Friday night and then Saturday night. Like, I don't know how powerful Keanu is at this point. Maybe that's what they're trying to find out. Maybe somebody wants to push the limits and see how powerful Keanu is so they can re-gauge how many more sequels they need. It's a very odd thing.
Let us know, how powerful do you think Keanu is? That's the new poll that we're going to put up.
Yeah. Was it just a bad planning mistake?
I think it's just a bad planning mistake.
Yeah.
Probably both studios are like, crap, somebody's going to change it.
Who's going to back down?
Somebody's going to back down.
Right.
That's the next thing that we'll see.
I feel like The Matrix will not back down.
You think so?
I don't know.
John
It's
Wick's
a bigger
pretty strong
budget.
too.
Oh yeah, I know, but I just feel like The Matrix won't back down.
We'll have to see. Keanu versus Keanu.
It's gonna be some Tom Petty there.
All right, you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. I've got another trailer this week talking about superhero movies. We have Wonder Woman 1984, and this is one that, Wonder Woman definitely in the DC canon of movies, of these newer movies that they have, Wonder Woman was definitely a success. That was a really good movie.
I would say it's definitely the best one.
The best one, yeah. I guess financially some of the other ones were a success too, but certainly Wonder Woman, I don't think anybody disputed that was a good one. So Wonder Woman 1984, taking place, 70 years after the first film, and we are getting some more trailers for it. It's definitely got that nostalgic feel.
Yes,
Got
I
the
mean we've seen it
1984, it's got
before,
the
but they
Stranger
did a
Things
very
kind of
good
vibe.
job with it. The soundtrack, the theme song that they've got going in the background is a classic, and it's really
Captain
fun.
Marvel-ish, I would say, as far as that. Although Captain Marvel's 90s, never mind.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, it's the same kind of idea.
The retro,
I agree with that. I think though it looks more fun than Captain Marvel to me. I love Gal Gadot. Not that I don't love Brie Larson, but I think that this movie looks really interesting, really fun.
Yeah.
The Maxwell Lord character is going to be really fun to see. This is a common villain. So Rick Marshall, I should say, did a piece about this and sort of laid out some questions that he had going into this. So I'm definitely stealing from his comic book knowledge here. But apparently Maxwell Lord is sort of a multi-versatile villain, as comics do. He's got a lot of different ways that he's presented in different comics. He's everything from a sleazy tycoon and criminal mastermind to telepathic terrorist to pawn of sentient computer virus, Rick says.
Wow.
So apparently he
can do all kinds of things.
So it's hard to say which version we're going to see of him in this movie, but he seems really fun. And it looks like it's going to be well played. And then we have Steve Trevor, who is supposed to be dead and 40 years old.
Right. Yeah.
40 years back
Chris
had
Pine.
died. So we got to figure out how it's possible that he's there. And apparently Maxwell Lord uses like illusions, so it could be that Steve Trevor isn't really there. So there's some interesting things there.
Okay.
And then we have Cheetah presenting herself, which is Kristen Wiig, kind of doing her best Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman thing going on.
Yeah.
So she's going to be a villain at some point, but she's friends with Gal Gadot, in the trailer. So that's an interesting factor. There's a lot of cool things happening here. A lot of good actors.
It looks good.
So
It looks
I'm pretty
fun.
excited about it.
Yeah, and so that's Wonder Woman 1984. Again, taking a look at that. And like you said, Rick Marshall's got a lot of information at digitaltrends.com if you want to dig into it more.
Yeah, those 4 questions get a little deeper for sure.
Yeah. Couple other things here that we just wanted to bring up. So another trailer that we got, the final trailer for The Witcher.
Yes.
And this is Netflix's push, and it's a term now, their Game of Thrones-esque series. It's trying to be their Game of Thrones. And some of the reviews have come back saying that it's actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Rob,
we
we haven't watched it.
I don't know if I have any room in my life for another fantasy at this point, like to get deep into this. So I really don't know much about this. I know that people really love the books, and I know that people really love the games. So I will definitely check it out, but I just have nothing to bring to the table on this because I just don't know The Witcher at all.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with when you're looking at this. I mean, it does look like it's going to be a pretty fun series. I mean, you do get a lot of Henry Cavill. He's very Henry Cavill-ish,
and I love Henry Cavill.
And Henry Cavill's cool, but that's what we're looking at right there. So that's The Witcher, and we've got that trailer up. I'm excited to watch this series and check it out. And
I'm just going to kind of go in blind and see what it is.
Yeah, and see where it's at. Yeah,
I know he witches. He does some witchering.
And he errs.
Yes.
So that's what we're looking at. So that's The Witcher again right there. And so you can check all of that at digitaltrends.com. Let us know what you think about that. And I think that we're out of time. So that's
all right.
Between the Streams. This is our weekly segment here. And thank you, Ryan Juanita. And thanks to everybody who's tuning in. So let's take a look at next week on Digital Trends Live. We'll have Michael Melton, the head of culinary for Impossible Foods, who's going to be joining us in the Digital Trends kitchen to create some tasty holiday appetizers using their plant-based Impossible Burger. So that's on Wednesday. That's a big day. And on Monday, in our New York studio, we have Yeung Sigurdson, the CEO and president of Osur, who will be joining to discuss the continuing advancement of bionic prosthetic technologies and how they're being used to improve the lives of patients. And I have to apologize to our production team in advance. We're having Henrik Theisbeck on the show, who's the CEO and founder of VEO, the maker of a 4K camera that's programmed to record soccer games without the need for a cameraman. So they haven't mentioned filming news yet. I hope our team is safe. We already know there's a VR version of me out there, so I'm already in trouble. And don't forget, you can watch Digital Trends Live wherever you consume content. We hit the internet every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and we look forward to seeing you right back here on Monday for Digital Trends. I'm Greg Nibbler. Have a great weekend.